Hello everyone, Chris Gogolin here, bringing you episode number 28 of my Star Wars GEMP game review series. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we get started with the show, obviously have to pass along some unfortunate news. For those of you who haven't been on the forums much today, the Star Wars community lost a great man. John Anderson, also known as Puck71 on the forums and on GEMP, passed away earlier today, losing his fight with cancer. John was a very valuable member of the community, working on both the tournament committee, the GEMP programming team, the proofing team, as well as just traveling and being at lots of events and being an overall just pretty great guy. He certainly will be missed, and we're going to take a brief just moment of silence to remember the life of John Anderson. So okay. I'm sure the Players Committee will be doing something with the upcoming World Championships as soon as we know more details about it. Obviously, it just happened today, so as soon as we know more, get the details, from his family about what type of arrangements and things are being made, I can guarantee the Players Committee will be putting something together, some type of donation in his name or fundraiser to help with expenses or something. So look for more details as we get more details about, what the actual events and things will be going. Some of you may not remember, John won the 2011 U.S. National Championships. If you go into the old history tournament section on the Players Committee forums, you can actually see the chat cast that the Immerhill, the tournament advocate now, Chris Schoenthal, did live from the event before we had streaming at events and things like that. People would just sit in a chat room and type out play-by-play all the different turns, and this is the game text of John's games against Stephen Kim in the finals. That was the U.S. National Championships that was held in Las Vegas that year back in 2011. That John won the first game by 21, and when he got his opponent down to 17 in game two, he drew up to make sure that he won. So all that information can be found right there. Speaking of the big championships, obviously we've got the World Championships coming up here in. Chris is in the chat room. Yeah, I kind of remembered that, and thank you for posting that there, Chris, so we could all enjoy that for years to come. Um, but speaking of events and championships, the 2018 World Championships is coming up here in just under a week. Actually starts Thursday. Will be the first event. Schedule of events can be found here on the forums, of course. We've got over, I think, 63, 64 players who are signed up right now, pre-registered, and still a couple other people who have said they're coming, who will just be paying cash at the door. So still a pretty good chance to get up to 70 players at this event, making it the largest world championship in recent history, probably in the Players Committee era, actually, now that I think about it more. So 15, 16 years, this could be our biggest tournament ever. And a big reason to that, as we've talked to a lot of players around the world, is GEMP. People being able to come back to the game, to play online, to have access to all the cards, and unlike Holotable, to have the rules enforced. And that's one of the reasons this was a tremendous gift to the community, by Troy and the design team. And I was very glad that we were able to. He was putting in all the time and effort to do it, and that we'll be able to continue to keep doing this, hopefully for years to come. The OCS, the Online Championship Series, has been a tremendous success. We had over 100 players participate throughout the course of the 8 months, many of whom playing in all 8 months, not just your typical top 10, 12 guys. There were about 35 people who regularly participated on a month-to-month basis, and that's pretty awesome. And that wrapped up. Actually, hang on one second. I don't want you guys to see my GEMP login info and passwords. I forgot to open that part of the site. So, okay. So yeah, so the OCS just wrapped up with September. Congratulations to Mr. Yellow and Profundity. Profundity won his 12th game, or his 11th game the other night, game 12, to finish here at 11-1 and move up into the second place spot. So the top 16 is now set, and mid-October, probably after Worlds is over, we'll hopefully be having a live draft where the players get to pick their matchups. For those of you who are not familiar with it, depending on how you finished, you get to pick your opponent in the first round, which is a very unique experience, and it certainly encouraged some people to play a lot more than others, and hopefully they will enjoy the fruits of their labors by being able to choose their opponent, someone who best fits their playing style. There are no easy matchups in this top 16. All of these players are accomplished players, and even people who don't have the big tournament wins under their belt, have certainly had top 8 finishes in major events, and certainly a lot of consistent gameplay, to get them up to the top of that leaderboard. You didn't just go 6-6 and play. You're the only one who played for all 8 months, so you're like number 2 or 3. It's like, no, you went 8-3, 9-4, 7-8 months in a row, or better, and that's why you're at the top of that leaderboard. So should be interesting to see, who picks who and all the different possible scenarios that come out of that, and hopefully we'll have a nice little like 2 hour live event where we get the players calling in and talking about who they're going to draft and why they made that choice, and then maybe we can get the other player on the line and then get their reaction to being picked and how they like that matchup. Should be something pretty cool and pretty awesome. All that should happen after the World Championships are over, probably the following week, the week of like the 15th, 16th, somewhere around there of October, and then that'll get started. And then there will be a new OCS, next year. So for those of you who didn't get to qualify this year and make it, myself included, we'll certainly look forward to playing again next year, and whatever little tweaks we need to make along the way to make the series better. But as long as GEMP is around, and there are plenty of people in the lobby right now. There's 25 plus people in here. There's 7 games going, right, or people trying to play games right now. This thing's here to stay, and we're going to continue to do what we need to support it, and to make fun, exciting tournament seasons for everyone involved. But that's going to follow the World Championships. A lot of stuff going on this weekend. A lot of different tournaments throughout the weekend. Even if you're not playing in the main event, it's still a good opportunity to play some of the smaller events, get to meet the people in the community. As you'll attest, you'll find out that most of the people in this community are pretty awesome, and it's one of the reasons why a lot of people, even though the game isn't in print per se, like other card games, you can't just walk into a card shop and buy stuff. People stay with the game year after year, and it's for the people. It really is. We saw in Hollow Theater just this week. We got to meet a lot of the European players and just see all those guys hanging around, drinking like they always do, and playing different, not only just Star Wars, but there's some other games that they were playing throughout the weekend, and just having fun, having a great time with each other. And it's a great community to be a part of. I'm honored to be a part of it for as long as I have been, and World Championships coming up. There's going to be 60, 70 people there. It's going to be a great weekend meeting people that I haven't met yet, this might be their first, real major event, or first one they're able to actually travel to. I know there's a couple of European players finally coming over who, usually Chris Menzel and Angelo and Emil's been coming the last couple of years. They make the trip over, but a lot of the other players, they're not able to. And this year we're going to have 9 European players in attendance, so getting to meet 5 or 6 new guys and put some faces. Well, we know their faces now. Thank you, Euro Emperor, for your little video. Now we know who all these guys are. They can't just hide as screen tags on the forum. But what will the meta be? That is the question on everybody's mind, and I don't think we will have a solid answer to that. I think until Saturday morning when everybody hands in their deck lists. We know we'll see plenty of Black Sun. We know we're going to see some hunt down decks. We know we're going to see some map decks for Dark Side. Probably going to see some court decks as well, trying to just counter the counters. Light side's obviously going to be playing lots of mains. There'll be a lot of mains decks, Throne Room, Hitco. We'll see plenty of old allies as well. And then you'll probably see a handful of, you know, other decks that no idea with all the different spies. Certainly is an intriguing deck. Probably some profit. Maybe a handful of Watch Your Steps or QMCs. But I don't think. I mean, I think obviously you'll see the top numbers being 10, 12 copies of Black Sun and 10 Old Allies and 7 or 8 Hunt Downs and those kinds of things. But I think when you look at the list overall, you're probably going to see about 15 different decks on each side being played, and that's a great thing, and obviously a great thing for the state of the game that that there are that many decks that people feel comfortable taking to a major event like this. Typically, when you go to a lot of other games and you see their deck lists for their major events, it's like the same 4 decks, and they're all cookie cutters, and half of them are mirror matchups and playing against each other, and it's very much a rock paper scissors type environment. And while our game does have some aspect of that too, at least we have different colored rocks that we get to smash each other with. So there's all that. But what we do here is we review games for GEMP. So the game we're going to review this week, we're only going to do one, try and keep this short because we've got a lot of preparations to make and stuff to pack and cards for people that I still have to go find. And it's always the fun part about going to a major event is people who hit you up a couple days beforehand and are always like, hey, do you have this card? So this game here is going to take place between ElDuderino and a Quick. This is an invasion deck. I'm guessing it's Battle Droids Blaster Rifles taking on a Profit deck. Invasion's a deck you could see a handful of at Worlds as well. He chooses not to start 2 aliens, probably because he doesn't have any aliens in his deck. He might have Afra. She might be in there. She should be in there if she's not. But I still wouldn't start her. So, Deuterino's going to go. He pulls the Throne Room. He force pushes, so he's looking for something that he saw in there. He's going to drop a Battle Droid, probably get a gun on him. Yep, there you go. Start threatening some early damage. Typically that's what a lot of these decks want to do. It's not the best strategy against Profit, though, because Profit gets 5 free retrieval. So rushing to get cards out on the table right away, like turn 1, isn't always a necessity against Profit. Damn it, we missed again to verify. Because, this ping 1 and pay to drain for 2 if they pull Battle Plan. It's like you just did 3 cards, and it's like, great, then I just deploy a guy and free Han and retrieve. So now you've just rushed through your first turn or 2. And your net benefit of that was 0 because all the cards that you just made me lose, I just retrieved. So Profit's always the one that sometimes you may not want to rush right in against. It also is it's a mains deck. You have your guys who typically can only deploy on Tatooine, like Ben Kenobi sometimes, Orlando who deploys minus the Tatooine and then only adds the Destiny at Tatooine. But technically he can go elsewhere. So he still could exclude guys. It's based on power, not ability, luckily, for the battle droids. If it was ability, they'd be really hosed. But, they'll use I must be allowed to speak, get a farm. There we go. He's got lots of characters in there with weapons. Doesn't look like he was playing more Master Luke. Looked more like young Skywalker in there. He's going to get 3PO out. That's usually a good way to start, is to use Seeking to get 3PO and then start cycling through some cards to see more and more cards in your deck. Against a deck like Black Sun or Court, typically he'll slide over to the audience chamber, slap a gift on him, and that will really hamstring them for a while, forcing them to then go find Probot or something to kill him. And that's why people are expecting that some light side players will play Profit, typically just to try and counter that Black Sun deck. But expect to see Probot and other cards in there that will neuter him. He does get drained. He loses cards off the top. He cycles a card back. There's the You'll Be Dead. He'll probably throw away the card he just picked up because you don't really need that 3PO puller anymore because you've already got 3PO and you already lost our 3PO. Oh. I think people considering playing 2 copies of a gift in their decks, in their Prophet decks or Diplo decks, or Agents in the Court decks, just because it's such a blowout card against Black Sun. Looking who's he's playing EPP Obi and Ben Kenobi. I guess he's going to use Ben if he wants to go off planet, and or Obi for off planet stuff, and Ben for yeah, typically that's what Qui-Gon's for. Qui-Gon goes off planet and clear stuff, and Ben kind of hangs out here and retrieves stuff. O switch off. That is a beautiful card for these types of decks. It's a used Destiny 6 that protects your droids from getting hit by weapons or stolen or lost in any way. Obi gets shot at. He blaster deflections, which I don't agree with, and here's why. It's EPP Obi. He has no immunity to attrition, so he's dying anyway. This gun does not make forfeit 0. It makes forfeit -4. So at worst, Obi is hit and becomes forfeit 4. You're even in power. You're both drawing Battle Destiny. I mean, yeah, he's got some Destiny that's higher than you in his deck, but is it really going to be enough to offset that much of a difference in the battle damage? You draw a 3 and he draws an 8, and it's like, oh, he wins by 5. Obi forfeits for 4, so I lose Obi and a card, but I get to keep my blaster deflection. That's the worst case scenario, basically. I get to keep my blaster deflection, which then might help protect someone like Ben Kenobi later on, or Luke, or a character who actually has some immunity and might stick around and stay on the table for a turn or two. That you don't want getting shot, especially Ben Kenobi. He's the guy you want to keep alive, so that way he can keep reviving all your other guys. So I would not play blaster deflection there. And he draws a 4. So now he can't take overflow, even if he draws an 8. And he only draws a 3. So Lightside actually wins this battle. So they're not taking any battle damage. They just threw away their blaster deflection. So Obi dies. He gets resilience back into hand. The droid, we'll see if he's got a cold feet. Cold feet cancels that, by the way. It's an attempt to remove a character from your lost pile. So cold feet is the card you want in your dark side decks to prevent things like that. And also get you defensive shields, and cancels Mantelian Savrip, which can also be an annoying card in certain decks. But the gun gets forfeited to the used pile because of inconsequential losses, so it counts as 3 forfeit, and then he's got 1 forfeit left to resolve, so he'll lose to Droid. The Droid just gets stacked on Droid racks. And there is a new card. I think it's the Effective Repairs Starship Levitation combo that stops that. Or maybe it's Rescue in the Clouds. I don't know, one of the 2 new cards from set 9. See if I have their texts handy. It's not Rescue, so it must be the other one. It cancels the attempt to, or makes a droid stacked on droid racks go lost instead or something. So ElDuderino's going to rush right back down. He's going to drop another B2 droid from hand. And this SSA one, opponent's Jedi are deployed +4 to same site. 2 of these SSA droids are pretty brutal. The first one makes Jedi deploy +4 to the same site. The second one makes Spies and Smugglers deploy +4 to same site. So there's a number of decks and a number of characters in a variety of decks that these guys really hurt. They don't do anything by themselves. They have to be with another droid to draw one battle destiny, but obviously they're good utility droids, and then if you flip your objective, they can help combo you up to get you to 2 battle destiny, but limiting your opponent, making everybody, certain Jedi, Luke, Obi, Yoda, Mace, Qui-Gon, deploy +4 is pretty hard, pretty harsh. Um, Jedi Luke with like my father would still be a 6, I believe, because that's a reset. So this makes him +4, but then it still makes him 6. It's not a separate condition, so that kind of Luke would still get by it. But if he's running a different type, he obviously is not playing like my father. So if he's running young Skywalker or Rebel Scout or anything like that, they're not obviously going to go in front of this guy. It's going to cost a fortune to get him there. So that guy's pretty good. But it looks like he's going to the swamp still. Not really trying to flip just yet. I didn't pull any Nemoidians with the Blockade flagship either. Prophet is a deck that's not known for really having much space other than the occasional, random starfighter plus landing claw kind of situation. Lots of options here. He's going to grab this other Leia. Again, not 100% sure why, because he's got a Leia in his hand, he's got an Obi in his hand. Yeah. Get 5 for Ben. And then he goes ahead and he frees Han and flips his objective, and now he'll retrieve 5 cards. So he'll get everything back down to his starting interrupt. Han's immune to secret plans. The only thing he's not immune to is Come Here You Big Coward. So if he had played Come Here You Big Coward, that would basically mean Lightside just has to deploy a second character over here, occupy 2 battlegrounds, flip, retrieve them, and then they just move the other guy over and consolidate. And now we'll get Leia out. Leia's going to get a weapon. She's got her blaster rifle with Saitor. It's a pretty great weapon. Target a character, creature, vehicle for 1 force. Target hit Destiny +1 greater than defense value. If hit by Leia, target is lost. So guys go bye-bye immediately. And then it is a blaster. So if you do have, sorry about the mess, blaster proficiency in your deck, which you should if you're doing this, the used function on that card adds 3 to your weapon destiny. So basically you're shooting at +4 and you're making the character immediately lost because Leia's just that cool. Really good at holding down a sight against mid-level characters, especially, you got these battle droids that are only armor 4, armor 5 in a deck where you have typically lots of 4s and 5s. So it's pretty, it's not easy, but it's not uncommon for you to hit some people, and then this is going to be a dangerous sight to deal with. Also gets a used pile pull, so he certainly has a few options there. He takes Chewie. That's a good call. Chewie also gets a used pile search from I Must Be Allowed to Speak. And then he'll draw a couple of cards. He's got a Rebel Artillery, a Slight Weapons Malfunction, some more Anakin's Lightsaber as well. He's going to put the Rebel Artillery back. Rebel Artillery, if you have a non-lightsaber weapon at a battleground, he gets Lando back. Lets you, causes 1 force loss. So Leia's gun being at a battleground, he could play that and cause 1 force loss. It's used Destiny 7. ElDuderino's going to do the same thing he did last turn. He's going to drain, and he's going to ping, and he'll do 3 total damage. Oh, he loses Solo. I'm not sure why he's running a second copy of Han in his deck. Seeking an audience lets you once per game place it out of play to retrieve an alien or independent starship into hand. That's usually how you get Han back if Han somehow dies. You put Seeking out of play and you retrieve him. ElDuderino's going to drop a DFS and then a gun. So I guess instead of, but this thing doesn't have any ability because it's a droid starfighter. So what I've seen people do is they will do this droid starfighter, and then you get the starship laser, which is the 6, and they'll kind of put this out with it. It can shoot Starfighters down. Use 2 force. Hit if defense value greater than that. Yeah. So I mean, you're drawing again if you got lots of 6s and potentially 8s with your battle droid blasters because of an entire legion here, making them +2. Then you can go ahead and hit that stuff pretty easily with this gun, and then you forfeit the gun used, and then you'd end up losing the ship. But then you just pull the gun back out because it's during your deploy phase. Deploy 1 starfighter when it's at the same system as the battleship. So as long as you keep the ships alive, you can keep looping the gun from space for 3. Sometimes they'll put a droid up here as well, and he'll get a gun, and then you just forfeit both guns to cover 6 battle damage and attrition. And sometimes you just hope that that's enough. Against a deck like Prophet, though, I don't know that I would bother with this. It's 2 more cards on the table. You probably don't need. They're not doing much else otherwise, and at some point you'd have to believe that he's going to flip his objective, just because he hasn't really drawn much or set it up yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to be coming soon. So there's your Gungan that'll flip. At least one of these guys better move over, because this guy's in trouble. So we got Rune Legal Counsel. He's a leader. That's cool. While at Throne Room, attrition against opponents. Battles at same and related Naboo sites is +X, where X is the number of battle droids present at that site. Okay, so he adds to attrition. Plus the B2 droid over here also adds to attrition. So if you have a B2 droid at another site, that could certainly be helpful to cause, you got 1 extra attrition, and then you've got Rune over here adding 1 or 2 more attrition to it, and it might get you that magic number where you kill 2 guys instead of 1, which is always pretty helpful. Well, with the battle droid, he's power and defense value +2. That's pretty good too, helps him keep him from getting shot. The flip side of the objective, now dark side, these icons, light side just has them there now, so now they can start draining there. It's a battleground system, so they get around battle plan. But light side could also deploy there. Minimal risk against the Prophet deck. But sometimes they do run at least a ship or 2 to try and keep dark side honest, so they can't just do something like this. So you'll see sometimes like a Bravo fighter, landing claw is kind of the cheaper route. Sometimes you'll see Rick Ollie in the Queen ship, or Booster and Pulsar Skate, which can hold a pilot and maybe some passengers, so it makes them a little more versatile than just a lone starfighter like Bravo Fighter. I've even seen a few decks, they run a Home 1 package. They'll play like General Kenobi and General Leia and Rebel Leaderships, and then they'll run like Home 1 Akbar, or something like that, and that'll be a space package that you might see. So be curious to see if this holds up. And we've gotten a couple of verifies, so it looks like Quick isn't playing much, and ElDuderino may have gotten to confirm one of those as well. So that certainly could be a thing where he's not feeling any pressure or anything based on what he's seen from his opponent, and feels like this is a sufficient little space force. He will slide his guys over now. Probably just would have deployed him there to begin with last turn. He's going to leave some force back. The gun does cost 1 to shoot, so he's got to worry about that. So now both guys are just going to do some basic pinging damage. Light side is going to decline paying to drain. They're going to spend 11 force for Qui-Gon. Ooh. That's harsh. But they do get to play Rey. Alright, so what do we got in here? So we do have young Skywalker, so he would cost a fortune. Han's got a gun floating around in there. Sorry about the mess. We talked about evac control, which could be pretty helpful to keep those 6s from becoming 8s. Luke's lightsaber, Master Luke to go with it. I guess he figures which one he needs more based on the matchup, and goes with that route. And then you got a Jedi Council chamber in there for extra activation. but no force left to battle with. I don't know if he just didn't remember that they cost 4, or even after that, just maybe he wasn't planning on battling this turn. He takes the Sorry About the Mess. That's a good card to take. But he can't attack this turn, unfortunately. Luckily, his opponent doesn't have a very big hand either and is not activating nearly as much force. He's only getting 9 a turn. I don't know if he's not playing any other Naboo locations. He didn't pull any before doing anything last turn. Maybe it's buried in one of the bottom 2 cards that he's been saving at the bottom of his force pile there. But usually you'll see at least one other site, whether it's the 2/2 interior site or maybe out the courtyard or something. I like to play the courtyard in my invasion deck because then you convert the courtyard and the throne room against WAP. So you take away 2 of their sites, and that kind of limits them a little bit in terms of their force generation, especially once they flip. Oof. So we get the second B2 droid off the racks, and he gets a gun. Now both guys are going to take shots because he's got some force saved. Rey's going to get shot in the face, which you can't see because she's got her little head wrap on. He's going to try to take out the SSA droid with the other gun. That should hit. You can probably Sorry About the Mess that droid if you want it to. It doesn't really help him a whole lot here. It does keep the droid from shooting Qui-Gon. With him drawing 2 Battle Destiny, that could obviously be a concern, trying to protect as much of his character's forfeit value as possible. So I could see that being a decent play. It also takes out some forfeit here because you can't forfeit the gun to the use pile for 3 either. And it'll lower the power a little bit, so it won't be quite as much overflow and whatnot. But you still have a droid and a Neimoidian with different card titles, so he still does get the 2 Battle Destiny, but he did lose a little bit of power there. He lost 4 power there. There's something that makes that droid more powerful. What did I miss? Pause. No, that's just a force drain bonus. While with an opponent's Jedi, your other battle droids present are power +1. Okay, so these guys were each power +1. Okay, so taking him out dropped it 4 power, so that was definitely a smart play, getting rid of him. Now we'll get... oh, it looks like that's the droid he shot first with, so he won't get the second weapon, but he misses. And ElDuderino has pretty much used up all of his force, which could hinder him next turn. Sometimes you'll see that's why they play Dauphine, because he at least lets you activate 2 at the start of your draw phase. So if you get in a situation like this where you've paid to fire all your guns, ooh, and you drew terrible. That's very unlikely for a deck like this to draw so low. If Light could have drawn a little better, they probably could have gotten away with just losing. Well, no, Rey still doesn't forfeit cover enough. She covers 5 only. So you still have to lose both guys. The flip side of the objective here, though, if opponent just drew an interrupt for Battle Destiny, once for battle may place that card out of play. That's one of my favorite texts on any objective, especially against light side decks, because they tend to have lots of repetitive high Destiny cards that they like to just cycle around and draw over and over and over again for Battle Destinies, which can get pretty annoying when they keep drawing the same Whis and whatnot over and over again. So being able to put those cards out of play, not only does it cause direct damage, force loss, it's a card that also can't be retrieved because now it's out of play. And then it obviously just stops it from being looped around over and over again on you. I'll take Queso's advice from the other night and go full screen here. Forgot to do that earlier. Sorry about that. But thanks for the friendly piece of advice there, Queso. So he'll lose. He only has to lose one attrition, so he'll just lose one of the generic droids, the one who doesn't have a gun. And light side is starting to fall behind in this game. They really should have been concentrating more on spreading themselves out and getting their own damage. But he doesn't get a use pile look now. He's putting Chewie, and I guess he's sending Lando there as well. So no use pile searches for either of those characters. This could be advantageous. No secret plans pull either by ElDuderino here. Leia retrieves one when you initiate a battle where you have a resistance character. So by initiating here with Chewie, Lightside gets to retrieve one, and you should at least make him pay for that, especially because it's his last force. But yeah, I mean, you look at Lando, Destiny +4 greater than target's power plus their Destiny. Yeah, Hako's power 4, so it's pretty much just a straight up Destiny draw against either character. So I don't know that you're necessarily going to be able to exclude either character. I mean, you know, you'll roll the dice and see what happens. But oh, he's going to fire first with defensive fire. Nice. I'll take a shot. This one fires for free, so it doesn't have to spend a force. And it shoots at +2, I believe. Just initiated a battle. Fire for free your non-lightsaber, non-permanent weapon for free. Each weapon destiny is +2, and then you can fire it again, the same battle. So obviously he's got to try to exclude him and hope he draws low. Oof. Yeah. This is as we were talking about in some of our other podcasts, sometimes this is the problem with inexperienced players. They just keep deploying and deploying and deploying, and they really run their hands down, which then doesn't let them set up their destinies and their deck better for mid to later turns. You know, cards like Luke's lightsaber probably should have been added to the deck a little while ago. He had opportunities to take Luke, to deploy Luke, to use Seeking to get Luke, to get him out, to get the matching weapon out. So you wouldn't be drawing a card like that for Destiny at this stage of the game. Now he fires again and shoots Chewie. He does get to play the Slight Weapons Malfunction, though, which is a pretty cool card. If your weapon except a lightsaber was just fired during a battle, add 1 battle destiny. So with Leia's blaster, we saw Han's gun earlier, and then you've got obviously Lando and Chewie's weapons that you can draw with. Oh, hey, thank you, Shaw, for subscribing. Other fun thing, too, is if you guys are watching and you haven't yet, the PC is now set up that it can accept subscriptions from Twitch, either from Twitch Prime. If you have an Amazon Prime account, linked to your Twitch Prime, you can then subscribe to the Players Committee, and then we actually get some revenue. Or if you just have just a straight up, through Twitch, and then you can donate bits and all that fun stuff that I don't know a whole lot about. So this is going to be one of the situations where we're probably going to see the entire site get cleared. But not if he draws that low. Okay, so he gets to 4. 4 is what he needed, because the gun forfeits for 3. But it will not flip the dark side objective back, because they have to control the system or the throne room in order to flip them back. And because light side initiated the battle, light side's going to forfeit cards and stuff first, so their guys are going to be gone by the time the dark side characters are also gone. So they won't ever have an opportunity to control the location. Oh, just reading in chat here from a Rebel Spy. There's some details up now about how to Subscribe if you're not sure how to do that. And then, of course, like I mentioned, if you have the Amazon Prime account and the linked and then the Twitch Prime account, you can subscribe to the PC for free. It's included. You get one subscription, I believe, included with your Twitch Prime. So thank you for posting the details about that in the chat room. And on the PC, it's on the resource tab on the home page, that page that nobody ever goes to because we just all follow our direct links and copy and save everything right in our forums. But I'm sure it'll end up there as well, or at least there'll be a post there that'll redirect you to the home page. So, Deuterino picks up a droid, pays the drain, and he's going to go to draw phase, it looks like, and then get a couple cards back in his hand. Put the lightsaber back. Stop putting... quick. Stop putting your characters back. Put your lightsaber back for the guy that you're going to deploy next turn and match it with. So, I mean, I know you got young Skywalker and he's going to match for Anakin, whatever, but yeah, you could match for Anakin if Luke's lightsaber isn't there. But you put Leia back. She's already on the table too. Never mind. I'm just cranky today. Yeah, we'll get it on the homepage too. There's a resource. Oh, the resource section on the forums where like all the GEMP stuff is. Yeah, it's a good place for it too. Jedi Council Chamber, young Skywalker. Young Skywalker goes to the throne room, flips the deck back. That's pretty... And he misses the lightsaber pull now. It's pretty important because now this makes this a non-battleground again, so there's no more icons here, so they can't get drained. Luke will get a lightsaber, but light side has no hand, so they better start. Here they go. Starts drawing a couple cards, but keep your eyes open. Could come in handy. Here, maybe not so much. It's a pretty good card to put back, though. Track around, track of 5. He can activate to it next turn, so it's good to put in a spot right where you need it. Yeah, Darkseid's really getting hamstrung here by their lack of force. We'll see if they... It looks like he is going to go get another location. I guess maybe it just wasn't available to him to pull earlier. But he does get the 2-2 out now. And now he's going to send a droid after Luke. Ooh, he's got the big boy. Does he have the gun? Doesn't necessarily need the gun. I mean, he's going to get 2 Battle Destiny because OWO's text. While with a battle droid at a site, draws 2 Battle Destiny if unable to otherwise. So 2 Battle Destiny, and then he adds 1 to attrition from this guy. Should be enough in a deck like this to crack Luke's less than 6 immunity. With light side smaller hand, they don't have any tricks up their sleeve, or you hope that they don't have any tricks up their sleeve, like sorry about the mess, something like that. He would have probably played previously, so unless it was one of the cards he just drew, always a possibility, but maybe not the most likeliest of possibilities. We get a 2 for the first Destiny. And a 3. Wow, he draws 5. Luckily, he adds 1 to his attrition, which is enough to crack Luke's 6. Lightside doesn't have a copy of like they're tracking us or anything to subtract 1 from that. So this will be another full site clear where everybody dies. And this is kind of what Invasion does. Sometimes it just keeps trading characters over and over again, but the difference is that the dark side characters go to the droid racks, and the light side characters go to the lost pile. And eventually, time permitting, light side runs out of characters, and dark side just keeps redeploying the same 3 and 4 droids over and over again. At the very least, he may have other copies of Luke in his deck, but he may not necessarily have other copies of the weapon in his deck, so some of that stuff gets lost as well. Typically, you'll see the best strategies that people use to beat invasion decks is to spread out to multiple locations, because they usually only have 2 or 3. They've got 3 copies of the B2 droids, and then a couple other droids randomly floating throughout, or like a Lord Maul with lightsaber or Lord Sidious or something like that. They don't have a lot of characters that they can do a lot with, and if you're covering 3 or 4 locations, or somebody's only getting 11 force and he needs force to pick people up and then redeploy them, um, that it doesn't actually work out very well. In the long run, you just got to spread out and do as much damage as you can, kind of maximize your damage potential while before they can just pick off the rest of your characters. Han gets a gun. And we'll see Anakin come down. No lightsaber for him because we just lost that one already. He is playing Hera, but he's not playing any ships, it looks like. Okay, grab Master Luke, why not? Spend 5, put Luke down as well, get another use pile search. Maybe his lightsaber was in the reserve deck this time. There you go. Now you get Luke's lightsaber out. And now you get a use pile search because you deployed all those guys off planet. So this is what I would have expected the deck to do earlier. Grab barrier. No, grab rebel barrier. That's another card that's very helpful against these invasion type decks is rebel barrier, because when they spend their limited force to deploy a guy in front of you, you barrier them, and then you can either counter beat, come over the top and beat the heck out of them. Sorry about the mess, to take them off the table again and then drain behind it, or you just move away and keep that character stuck on the table because they have such limited numbers of characters that they can attack you with. If you get them, their characters committed to the board, then they don't really have anything behind it to come after you with. So, Quick's definitely fallen behind on the character count here in the life force count. Dude takes that turn and just kind of reloads his hand a little bit. Would have expected him maybe to spend some of that force and pick up more of the droids, because it's not just one droid per turn. You can spend multiple force and pick up multiple droids. And even if you're afraid of something like Grimtosh, there are multiple droids with different card titles stacked over here, so he has certainly had a few options to choose from. But this is going to be a good turn for light side in terms of damage. You've got 3 damage coming from the objective, because you've got Luke, Leia, and Chewie at different battleground sites. So there's 3 damage there. Luke can drain for 2 here, so that's 5. And then if you wanted to pay, you could pay more and do 6 and 7. You activated 16 force, and I don't know if he's going to spend all of that deploying anything else. Doesn't really need to deploy anything else right now. Obi can't go down, and Qui-Gon, there's nobody for him to go suicide against. So it might be a turn to just drain and maximize as much damage as you can, and then draw a couple cards at the end of the turn to kind of reload your hand. But I bet that's not what he's going to do. Of course not. He's going to deploy Qui-Gon into a pile of characters that are already pretty solid and don't need somebody else. And then he's going to over-deploy and deploy Hera with Luke and 3PO when she doesn't do a whole lot there, and he doesn't necessarily need them to be there. And then he's going to move Ben out away from Han. I don't like that move at all either. Ben and Han should pretty much always stay together, because if Han dies, you do no damage. You do 0. Zip, zilch, nada. You can't drain, you don't have any ping, you get nothing. So you want to kind of keep Ben and Han together, so that way they can just Han dies and then Ben brings him right back, and keeps your objective on the 7 side where it needs to be. There's the character I was talking about at the beginning of the game, Afra. She's an excellent character for this type of deck. Not only does she deploy for free to a number of locations, but she lets you search your lost pile, move a card to the top of that pile. If it's a droid, you retrieve it into hand, and then, you can redeploy said droid that you lost earlier. P-59 is going to go after Chewie and Anakin. And he's going to put Tay-How down. So now he's got a battle droid, a droid, and an Amoidian with different card titles, which is what the objective requires. If you have 2 droids or a droid and an Amoidian, draw 2 destiny if unable to otherwise. So he's going to get 2 battle destiny out of this, which should clear this site. And especially when P-59 shoots Chewie. Wow. So he's got a Sniper Dark Strike from hand as well. That'll make Chewie immediately lost. So that's going to stop Chewie from shooting back and take a big chunk of power away from Lightside. And Lightside still has to lose 2 because P-59, that's what he does when he hits people. He doesn't make him forfeit 0, but he makes you lose 2 force, which is sometimes even better. Thank you to Huge for subscribing as well, my team tournament partner for the upcoming World Championship team event. We'll have to talk about who's going to play what side, so I actually know what second deck to put together. And he draws a 7 in total battle destiny. Anakin's going to cover that just fine. Oh, Anakin draws a 7 himself, which makes it an 8. So everybody dies. It's kind of what we expected. P-59 and Tay-How don't have the greatest forfeits, so there's a pretty good chance that everybody was going to die anyway. But the card does go out of play thanks to the 7 side of the objective. So, and unfortunate over deployment and shuffling and things like that, because Qui-Gon should be in hand to go beat up these guys, but we're going to have to rely on this Nabrin and hope that does the trick. After slides over. Yeah, you got a whole big pile of high destinies in there. But this is kind of where we're at. This is activate a bunch, cause some direct damage. Can't really pay to... You can pay to drain in one spot. Pay to drain here with Luke. He doesn't have any weapons here, so he's going to neighbor leads. He'll pick the low number with BB-8. Still has to lose 4 because you can't use incomplete numbers of force. So that's why things like BB-8 and Brainiac are even more annoying. They should just say 4, because you're drawing 3.14, but you still have to lose 4 because you can't lose unless you have Greedo from Premiere, who's the only character who forfeits for a half, I think. Alright, so he neighbors everybody over here. Now, Han's Virtual Blaster, once during your control phase, you can fire it for using 1 force. So he's got a built-in, sorry about the mess, into his gun. Target hit, forfeit 0, and opponent loses a force if Destiny +1 is greater than defense value. So bringing Han over, taking a shot, he can make one of these guys immediately lost. Leia's gun is going to make someone immediately lost. So this could be a pretty good beatdown for Lightside, which is exactly what they needed if Darkside doesn't have a Gick or anything. And he had some pretty good Destiny left in there. I don't know, which guys you could play it safe and you just go for like Dauphine and Afra, get them out of the battle or before the battle even happens. Just make them lost, go away. And then you've got this lone battle droid here who doesn't have a gun of his own, kind of just hanging out here by himself. He'll have 4, 5, 6 total power against your 14. Qui-Gon probably hits him, make him forfeit 0 as well. So he's taking a lot of overflow if he doesn't have a Gick. He's only got 3 cards in hand. That could be one of the cards he's been clutching, but the bigger, bolder play would be to try and pick off the B2 droid with Han's gun and Leia's gun. Get that droid out of here. That would eliminate the second battle destiny from the objective because now you don't have a Nemoidian and a battle droid there. And then if you can pick off either one of these other guys then he doesn't even have 4 abilities, so now he's got low power and no battle destiny. So you've got two schools of thought here. One's a little more high risk, but it's also a little more high reward. I'm inclined with him having a smaller hand. I mean, he's got a bunch of droids stacked over here and whatnot. I'm inclined to lean more toward the safer route. Um, we did just check his destiny, so maybe if he knows he's got if there's just a pile of 5s in there, then obviously yes, you shoot the B2 droid and get him out of here. But if there are, some 4s, which are going to miss this droid, then you might as well just pick off these guys and get him out of there. He's going to shoot Dauphine. He draws a 3. Don't Jedi love that. Good job. So that hits. That guy's gone. And then I'm sure we'll get a battle here in a minute. And Leia can use her gun. And lets him retrieve a force as well. At least Secret Plans is out this time, so at least that will make him pay for it. But Lightside still has to pay for it because they need cards back desperately, especially characters at this point. Fire Leia's gun. Again, I'm not sure exactly what he had floating in there for Destiny. Yeah, see, he's got 3s and 4s, so picking off someone like Afra instead would have been more of a gain. There's another 4. So yeah, it looks like he had a bunch of 3s and 4s, so I wouldn't have even wasted the shot. Leia should have just shot Afra. He's going to lose more force. Can't swing at the other droid now because you had to use the second shot to hit Afra. I know goes out of play. So he had 1-5 in there. So he's not going to get the overflow he was hoping for. It'll be the B2 droid and a card. I mean, he's still making him lose a couple other cards along the way from hitting people. But had Leia removed Afra from the battle, that'd have been a few less power. Could have resulted in a bit more battle damage and overflow. The other unfortunate issue with bringing Leia and Han and stuff over here is it makes them a little more vulnerable to attack, and if they, if Han dies, Han is captured or not on table, this is going to flip back, and then these guys are stuck over here doing nothing. Obviously, you can track around the neighboring and follow it around and use 3PO and get the neighboring back into hand, and then neighboring these guys somewhere else. Now Darkside's going to try the spread out strategy. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look like Mr. Quick is tracking anything right now. Otherwise, he would have tracked around that neighboring. And he would have used 3PO to take that back into hand, and then he could have taken these 3 characters, neighboring them over, and beat the crap out of one of these 2 droids. Instead, he'll have to just settle for just doing 4 total damage 2 for drain, 2 for ping. He can pay to drain here as well, but it's -1 if you don't have Amidala there, so it's only a drain of 1. He's not doing much else with this force, though, because he doesn't have any characters or anything to do. So if you're in a situation like that where you're not going to spend the force anyway, just get in all the damage you can. There's the barrier. He'll play here, maybe to play a shield. Draws the Anakin that he retrieved for battling. He's getting closer. Oh, he stopped drawing before he got to the neighboring. That's a good card to pick up in case there is another battle. Get a second battle destiny. The barrier is actually going to be one of the best cards he can have in his hand right now. Anakin's a good one too, because Anakin can go clear this droid off this site, because these are drains of 2. You can clear it off either site. This is, if your battle droid present, it's a force drain +1. So, if we're just looking at from a race standpoint at this point, 4 damage here versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 total damage over here. 10 force left, 11 force left. It's pretty close, but light side should prevail. Dark side would run out of characters first if this was just a straight up drain race situation. He gets a gun. We'll see if this droid slides over. He does. Okay. And then he'll have to recirculate and save that force. If he can shoot Han here, obviously, that would be game over. But because this droid didn't have a force left to move, these guys can just slide over to the Naboo site. You can also try and use Han's gun and pick him off, because Han's gun shoots in the control phase. He did top deck the Gik, so there's a good chance he may not have had it. So the beatdown strategy could have worked. No, but he didn't activate far enough. If he had been tracking around that Hear Me Baby that he just played, which I think he actually ended up losing to a drain or something like that, he could have tracked that around possibly and picked off one of these droids. But he'll have to settle for doing his direct damage, doing his drain here, and then just these guys should move away. Risky play. It's a very risky play battling here, because if Han gets hit and dies, and your opponent is wise enough to pull the coward shield, because you'd only be down to 1 battleground, could really limit your ability to retrieve Han, to get it back. You've already burned Seeking, and even with Secret Plans out, Jedi Lev gets expensive to get Han back into hand. So initiating this battle here is a very risky play. Leia will take a shot. Maybe Leia hits him and gets him immediately lost. But if she doesn't, he doesn't even have a second destiny to add slight weapons malfunction to draw a second battle destiny with either. So this is a very risky move by Quick. Yes, he does get to retrieve a card, but if this misses, he's in some poodoo. And it missed. A lot of 4s, not a lot of 5s we're seeing here. He adds a second battle destiny with a slight weapons malfunction, but it doesn't do anything because he's only got 1 card left to draw. And now the battle droid shoots Han. And now light side's really going to be in trouble. Because there goes all their damage. They were ahead. Just move away and win. It's like it's like Rocky 2, man. It's the end of Rocky 2. He's way ahead on points. All he has to do is just stay away. But he wants to go for that knockout. And he gets in there and mixes it up with Rocky a little more. And down goes Creed, and it's all over. So now Han and Leia are both going to end up dying here because he's got 9 total attrition and Leia only forfeits for 8 and Han was shot anyway. So all these guys are going to go lost. He drew a resilience, so the gun's going to go used, giving him 1 more card back in his deck to pay to drain with and pick up droids and stuff with. So that was a very bad battle for Quick. If you learn anything from this video, that's a good one to learn. When you're ahead, you don't force battles you don't need to. You just play it safe and you run away. And you go, okay, I'll just keep trading and taking my pings and keep making him pay to drain and pay to chase me until eventually he runs out of force. And now wisely ElDuderino pulls Coward, which is really going to prevent Lightside from getting Han back for a little while. He'll activate, he'll pay, he'll pick up a droid, he'll pay and drain here. And, you know, short of finding that neighbor in leads, Lightside does not really have any way to do damage. I mean, Anakin you can deploy Anakin and whatnot. He's going to have to go to Naboo somewhere, but... So yeah, he picks up a droid. He redeploys the droid back over here, and that's his 9 force. They can drop Anakin, and they can check and see what that is. Oh, there's a 5. Now they get to 2 battlegrounds. Now they can pay with their Jedi Lev and at least get Han back. Take Solo at this point. If you're gonna, since he played the second Han, you might as well take Solo. Solo at least draws by himself if unable to otherwise, and Solo can once per game play an interrupt from your lost pile. Yes, this Han is 1 deploy cheaper, but this Han doesn't do anything else for you otherwise for the rest of the game. So that would not have been the Han that I would have picked up. I also would not have battled. Luckily, he gets lucky and he draws a terrible card in his deck that Anakin's immune to. He draws one of those crappy little droid starfighters. Just another reason not to play them. He's only defense fit, which is only Destiny 2. Anakin's immune to less than 4, so luckily Anakin lives and survives. But that was not an ideal battle for Lightside. They just kind of got a little lucky there. And now they're going to move over in front of this other droid. Spend 2, he'll pick a droid up. He'll spend 4, he'll redeploy the droid. And then he'll pay 1 in battle Anakin. And hope he draws something a little better than a 2. That's a 3. But at least he adds 1 to attrition, so Anakin's not immune to that. The question is it too little, too late? Lightside has lost 2 full turns of damage now. The whole turn that they spent deploying and retrieving Han, and this upcoming turn where Han's not on the table and they don't have any characters anywhere else, that they could have just been doing ping damage from the objective, even if they were only draining over here and then pinging for 2, because Leia and Han were always blocked by a droid. That's okay. You're still doing damage. You're still taking away his very limited resources that he needs to spend to pay to drain, to pay to move. Still can't find that neighboring. It redeploys Han. It flips. Move Luke. There you go. Get your damage back up again. Takes Hera, which is wise, because he's probably going to need extra forfeit. Because obviously his opponent can pick up a B2 droid and redeploy him and battle, because he has just enough cards left to do that. And draw Destiny. 4, 5, 6, 1 to battle is 7, 1 for battle Destiny is 8. Means he can't pay to drain. And since Ben Kenobi forfeits for 9, even if he drew an 8, he could just lose Ben. So I think at this point, Darkseid just has to pay to drain. But they are running out of stuff to work with here. So it looks like Lightside's going to escape with a very slim victory in this game. Could have been over 2 or 3 turns ago. Had he just, played it the right way, played it the safe way. I don't always do the safe play myself. Let me, don't preach to everybody for a second here. Sometimes you just want to just see what happens. Just mix it up a little bit, Let's have some fun. Let's have another battle or two. And I'm certainly, this isn't like a highly competitive game. I'm sure these are guys that are, friendly with each other, through GEMP and through possibly even through their local community that, might have just been trying to just, play it out a little longer, have a little more fun. But get the 2 force loss from the objective. Pay to drain over here with Luke for 2. Drain 1 at the farm for 1. And then the dude over here is going to be pretty much tapped out. He'll have enough left to get maybe 1 more force drain in before he runs out of force left to work with. So he can cut his differential by a little bit. Or he can deploy, he threw the droid away too. So he can deploy the droid he had in his hand and just block a drain, but it doesn't really get you anywhere. So Quick is going to escape with a slim win here. It looks like by less than 10. And I want to thank both guys for playing this game and for Quick for sharing the link, and for everybody in the Star Wars community. Obviously, we appreciate you. We like having you all here. I very much enjoy getting all these links and being able to do this live stream every week. We'll speed this up because we know what's going to happen. But look forward to seeing a lot of you coming up at the World Championships this week. And, wish me luck because I'm definitely going to need it against this field. It's a lot of top players, a lot of top talent. Potentially one of the most stacked fields we've seen in a number of years at this World Championships. So, yeah, but we'll be back next week. We'll do, same time. We'll do another great video for you. We'll talk about Worlds and all the different decks and things that we saw and that were played. And hope everybody has a great night. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, be sure and subscribe to Twitch. I'll probably get sued for this one, but oh well. I think Burt, one of those guys is probably got to be dead by now, right? So I think we're good. But you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching.